just finished watching American Pie. Such a funny movie. Why on DVD? Well, while streaming is a marvelous technology, it's become really complicated. Plus, I still love physical media. I grew up with it. I remember the milk crate my family had with various VHS tapes of classic Disney films. And when I was born in 2002, DVDs were on the rise as they were invented just 7 years prior in 1995. However, physical media wasn't always as accessible as it was in the 2000s. When VHS tapes were first released, they cost around $100, which was just not reasonable for the average person. So video stores emerged, which would buy the tapes and then rent them to consumers for a smaller fee. And the most famous of those stores was Blockbuster Video.
Nobody has the movie I want.
Hey, if it's on video, Blockbuster probably has it. I mean, we have over 10,000 videos.
Wow.
I'll watch these fast and have them back tomorrow, I promise.
Relax. At Blockbuster, you can keep your videos for 3 evenings, so take home plenty. And use our 24-hour quick drop.
Do you have any children's videos?
Sure. Blockbuster's America's family video store. You know, we have more kids' videos than any place else. More movies, more nights, more fun.
Blockbuster Video.
Wow, what a difference!
No other video rental store has had the legacy that Blockbuster has. Even though all but one location is closed, people still remember it fondly. And if you don't believe me, listen to all these fans.
I miss Blockbuster.
I remember browsing video games at Blockbuster.
I miss Blockbuster.
I look fondly back at Blockbuster.
Today, I aim to celebrate Blockbuster for what it was. Not mourn its death or talk about all the intricacies of its history. There are plenty of other documentaries and articles that have done that. I want to tell you stories and tell you some of the coolest facts about the iconic store. However, it is appropriate to give a brief overview of how it all began. Blockbuster was founded in Dallas, Texas by David Cook on October 19th, 1985. The following year, he added 3 more stores after the success of the first, and the company only grew from there. At its peak, there were over 9,000 Blockbuster stores in the United States. I don't know about you, but that seems like a lot to me. So what made Blockbuster so special?
I think now it's so easy to plop on your couch, sign in on your TV. I think the only difficulty is when they sign you out and make you, do your password, and it's like, oh, you got to click the YouTube app to get in. It's a hassle. But I think back in the day, I sound old. Back in the day, it was an event, going out with your family to pick the movie. That was fun. Or going out with friends, because there's always some debate. Now you can just click through a couple shows and be like, oh, what do I want? There's almost this lack of interactiveness, which makes it sad. The interaction, the going out to get it, that required some social connection. And as our world is becoming more digitalized, it's being compromised, and it's unfortunate.
And they're not the only ones who fondly remember the store. There are numerous YouTube videos on the subject.
And this other time I went into Blockbuster, I go over to the video game section. The brand new Star Fox 64 just dropped. All of them were sold out except for one. Again, for anybody that's gone to Blockbuster and you've experienced this scenario, you know how happy you get when you get the last copy.
As well as documentaries.
If there's some cats in Oregon still scratching it out, with Be Kind, Rewind, nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful.
and even a sitcom.
Look, there's no easy way to say this. 7 more Blockbusters just closed. You're officially the last one on Earth.
I don't love the pattern that's starting to emerge. Hello?
Blockbuster had a certain feeling to it, and that feeling is turned into nostalgia for people who grew up going to Blockbuster. I remember when I was a kid, my local Blockbuster was right next to the U-Crops, where my mom would do grocery shopping. Coincidentally, U-Crops is also a dead business. But when we finished shopping, I would always beg to go to Blockbuster and pick up a new DVD to watch that night. Usually my mom would say no, but occasionally we would go. And Blockbuster had a certain smell to it. It feels nostalgic to me. I actually had the opportunity to go to the last Blockbuster in Bend, Oregon, and when I smelled the inside of the store, I was transported back to being a kid next to the U-Crops. While working on this documentary, I was fortunate to be able to talk to Mary Robinson, who worked at Blockbuster when it was still around.
Fortunately, I couldn't find a time to sit down with Mary, but she graciously emailed me about her favorite Blockbuster experiences. I'll be reading some of her email to you, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the trip down memory lane. I loved going to Blockbuster. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, my family would rent movies from Blockbuster at least twice a month. I remember walking the aisles and seeing all the movies available, and occasionally peeking at the back of movies that my parents didn't want me to see. We would be so happy to find the generic VHS case behind the license case that would hold a copy of the movie. More often, we would have to choose something else because the ones we wanted were rented out already. There were 4 Blockbusters in our city, but only one near our house. There were a few mom and pop type video rentals around, but they didn't have the selection Blockbuster had. Later on, Best Buy had a rental program for movies and music, but it still did not compare to Blockbuster. We had a premium membership and could rent up to 4 movies per visit. So that made it fun because we could usually all get to choose something. I remember one time when The Land Before Time was released, I really wanted to rent it. All the copies were checked out, so I was bummed that I couldn't get it. Then, as we were leaving, another family walked up to the return slot and dropped it into the return. I immediately ran back inside and forced the worker to check it in so that I could check it out. He wasn't too happy, but I got my movie. I worked at Blockbuster during the spring of 1998. I was already working at Albertsons Grocery and was trying to save money because I was getting ready to travel to Germany to work as a nanny. I was only there for about 6 months, but it was so much fun. I would walk the aisles to be sure that the right movies were behind the right covers. I would use the ancient software to create accounts. We had an old dot matrix printer that I would use to print the cards out, and then we would tear the cards' perforations, insert them into the laminate sleeve, and push them through the sealer. The most frustrating thing was remembering to turn on the laminate sealer so it would heat up in time for you to seal the card. Often we would forget and have to wait a good extra 10 minutes for it to heat up. We couldn't leave it on all the time because it would heat up so much that it would melt the plastic casing and cause a fire. I worked the evening shifts, so I would mostly be spending my time checking in returns, creating new accounts for customers, or organizing the shelves. Occasionally we would get new movies come in, and then we would take them out of the sleeves. There was one specific labeled for display, the others were in the standard commercial case. And then put them in the generic black Blockbuster cases to get them ready for the shelves. Some of the top movies that were checked out were Batman and Robin, Contact, Titanic, I Know What You Did That Summer, and Hercules. Those were the ones we usually had on hold. As for customer interactions, I think the most memorable is one time someone accidentally replaced their rented VHS with a cheesy home movie recording. We got to see their vacation footage and made sure every employee got a chance to see it before we notified the customer. He was seriously embarrassed when we let him know what had happened. He never knew we all saw it, but we decided to give him a lifetime bonus rental every month afterwards because we all felt bad about watching him flirt with the camera while on the beach. Blockbuster was a huge success because it was a way that you could watch your favorite movies at home. At the time, if you wanted to see the films, you either went to the theater, waited for them to be shown on television riddled with ads, bought them yourself, which was not only costly, but also finding storage space for all the movies was difficult, or rent them from Blockbuster. It was so cool to call your friends to come over and watch a movie you had rented before you had to be kind and rewind. You also had the power to pause and rewind clips which weren't available in any of the other options of TV and theaters. So you wouldn't have to miss anything if you had to make a potty break, raid the fridge, or wait to finish it tomorrow.
And of course, Mary isn't the only one with fond memories and stories of Blockbuster. I also had the opportunity to talk to Madeline Berger, who presented her own story about Blockbuster.
I remember this was kind of just like a tradition that we would do. So we would have a movie night. It would be like a Saturday night, and it was just our way of just getting like a movie exposure, if you will. Like my parents were like, oh, you should watch this movie, so we're gonna go find this movie. You know, our Blockbuster was in this shopping center, so it was right by like a Giant and other shopping, so we would like run errands, we would probably grab food. There was like little fast food chains, and then we'd say, okay, let's stop by Blockbuster and let's get it. And I remember there was like a sort of deal going on where it was like if you rent a certain number of movies, you would get these like popcorn bowls, and there were like these big yellow popcorn bowls that just had like the Blockbuster logo on them. And so it was like, it was nothing big. It was like if after like the 5th movie they rented in like a certain time, you get them. And so there was this time that we went there, and it was at the time they're like, okay, here's your 2 popcorn bowls, and we still have them today.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Going to Blockbuster was an event. Browsing the aisles filled with movies. Reading the boxes and choosing a movie to watch that evening. It wasn't like shopping, it was an experience, and it's an experience that I feel we don't have anymore.
Like, it's very much a nostalgia thing for a lot of people like my age, I'd say, because like, I mean, is it the same for you? Like, yeah, I missed it. Like, just going in, picking out a movie, like, hey mom, can I get this movie? But we all had to like agree on it, because like I had 2 other two siblings be like, no, I want this movie, no, I want that movie, no, you can only pick 1 or 2. It's like, mom, right, and then you can only have it for so long. So
in the process of writing this little documentary, I actually remembered one of my own stories from Blockbuster. So in addition to renting VHS, DVDs, and video games, the store also sold snacks, particularly things like popcorn and movie theater candy. When I was a kid, I loved Mike and Ike's. Alright, so I still do! So I love Mike and Ike's. So when I saw hot tamales at Blockbuster, I thought I would enjoy them. Another thing to know about me is that I didn't have a good spice tolerance. Honestly, I still don't have a great tolerance. Usually my mom didn't buy me candy when I asked for it, but for some reason, and I can't remember why, she did buy me the hot tamales. Maybe she thought it would be funny, and if she did, really, Mom? Anyway, when I got them and sat in the car, put a fistful in my mouth, and I just remember my mouth feeling like it caught on fire. I'm sure my mom let out a chuckle as I chugged water from her bottle. I mean, hot tamales aren't even that bad.
Man, it's been a while since I've had.
I don't actually think I've had these before.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know what you were thinking.
Not spicy, really, like.
I mean, they're a little like cinnamony, I guess.
he hates cinnamon flavored candy. No. Mm-mm.
You know, it just like Mike and Ike's, you know, not a thing of spice and. Do you have water, please?
Not only did Blockbuster have an impact in the lives of many, it also made numerous appearances in various films from the 90s and on. Blockbuster has appeared in films such as The Last Action Hero, Hamlet, Jurassic Park 2: The Lost World, Godzilla, Yes Man, and Captain Marvel. Even people on social media still celebrate the brand a ton. There are numerous memes talking about the nostalgia people have for Blockbuster, which further demonstrates that the love for the brand is alive and well. So I know that I said this documentary wasn't about the rise and fall of Blockbuster, but I don't think the video would be complete without at least touching on the end of the franchise. In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy due to a $1 billion debt. There's speculation on why exactly the company failed, but the leading theory is kind of the rise of streaming, as people just choose the option that's more convenient. Currently, there's only one more Blockbuster location. It's in Bend, Oregon. The closure of Blockbuster was the end of an era, and it'll be sorely missed to the millions who experienced it. But does this mean Blockbuster is dead? No! Blockbuster will never die as long as we remember it. And there are things around us to remind us about its legacy. Movies featuring Blockbuster. Movies about Blockbuster. The sitcom about Blockbuster. And as a DVD collector, sometimes, when I go to a thrift store and I open up a case, I see a familiar logo that takes me back to my childhood.